Hello all and welcome to our Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on the gorgeous Basket Weave Stitch. Is it not divine? I love it so much. Now just a quick heads up guys, it is a yarn eater. Be prepared for how much yarn we used for this little swatch. Alright, if you are joining us new, firstly welcome. You haven't missed out. We are doing a Swatch Blanket of 2021 and this is swatch number 16. If you would like to join us for the blanket and start from swatch 1, I will leave a playlist to the Swatch Blanket in the description box down below. You can click on the playlist, start from swatch 1 and work your way up. They are basic stitches from now. We're starting to get into a little bit more of an intricate work, solid work if you will. We don't want to make too many solid squares, otherwise it'll put the pattern out of whack. But we do want to work on some solid stitches to show everyone how to do those stitches. All right. Now, like I said, this is a yarn eater. This piece here took me 40 grams of yarn, quarter of this skein of yarn. Okay, so just heads up there, yeah? All right. Again, if you are joining us new, you wouldn't know this, but our subscribers are the ones who help us choose the color combinations for our swatch blanket. Very exciting. However, I will admit I did change the color combinations from this, which actually they were the 3 colors right here. Oh, I nearly picked up the whole board there. We were going to use these 3 colors, but have a look at what happened when we did. Look at that line. Now I remember, I should have thought about this because I remember doing a tiny little a blanket. It's like a little tiny blanket for a photographer for one of her props. And I did use the colors and this is what I saw then, and I can't believe I forgot that this happens. When you change colors in the basket weave, no matter which side you look at it, you're going to get that line. And I just thought it didn't look that nice. So what I did was I decided to change a color combination to whatever colors I had in stock, and I noticed that we only used the grey in one other swatch, and it was just like one row of the grey, and I'll talk about that on the lives. Oh, guys, if you don't know about our lives, we have lives on Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. and Saturday mornings 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, that is, and this is where you guys get to choose the colour combinations for our swatches. Too exciting, guys, too exciting. It's a 10 ply yarn or a number 4 or an Aran weight. It is acrylic, so it's 100% acrylic, and each swatch will be roughly, and I say roughly because a lot of people message me saying, oh, mine measures just that little tiny bit under or just that little tiny bit over. That's okay, okay? So don't stress if it's like a few millimeters over or under, all right? In the meantime, you will need, for the Aran weight, you will need a 5mm hook. That's what we've been using all along. You will need your scissors. You will need 1 stitch marker, and you will need, yes, of course, that sewing, darning, weaving needle, and you will have only 2 ends. Yay, yay, yay. Only 1 end there and 1 end up the top, and that's it. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started making this gorgeous basket weave swatch number 16. Good luck, guys. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by making a quick slip knot. You're grabbing the tail end of your yarn and you're wrapping it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it there, making sure you're leaving a nice long tail. If it's too short, you can't weave that in. But grabbing the back loop, passing it halfway over your finger, hold it there, grab the other loop, passing it all the way over, grab your hook, pop it in, giving it all a tug. All right, simple, very simple. Now we're going to start off by chaining up some chains, all right? And we're going to start with chaining 32. Okay, so a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once, yes, and twice, 3. Now work your way up to 32. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't make these too tight, yeah? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. All right, so with this pattern here, I forgot to mention, if you wanted to make yours smaller or larger, it is a multiple of 4. All right, there are a lot of other ways of doing things. Just remember though, if you wanted to, a lot of people say it's multiple of 8 really. What you need to remember is you need to have your work symmetrical. Now symmetrical meaning, and let me just show you quickly, when we're looking at our piece, we're looking at it like that. Oh, sorry. We're looking at it like that, where your 4 front posts are there. If you were to do 28, you would end up with a front, back, front, and then a back. And it's not really symmetrical. It's not symmetrical for what we want to do. And we want ours to be symmetrical. So we're doing it really by 8 rather than 4. That means nothing to you, so don't stress too much about it. All right. If you're doing blankets or jumpers and things, you really need to do 8 rather than 4. All right. So now we are yarn over our hook. There's our first chain. We're going to skip that 1, 2, 3, and jump into the 4th chain with a double crochet. And the yarn is over your hook already. Yes. Pop your hook in that very top loop you see there, right there. Pull a loop through, and you've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that is your first double crochet. All right. Now you are going to do another one in your very next stitch, like so. Pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. Yes. And you're going to do that all the way across this chain stitch row. All right. This row is a very basic row. This is what we call your basic double crochet in crochet. I believe in UK terminology it's called a treble, but the US calls it a double, and I usually use the US terminology. I say usually because over the next few months yours truly will start adding the UK terminology as well. All right, so off you go. I'm just going to pop this on fast until we get to the end of these chains, and I'll meet you there in a moment. Okie dokie, we're almost there, guys. All right, let's have a close up and have a look. See, I have 2 chains left. How can I tell? If you give it all a stretch, you can have a look. That very next chain has a loop there, like so. Now your last chain will look like 2 because you've got like a little knot on the end, but it's not. It's just 1 loop right there. And pop your last double crochet in there like so. All right, let's have a quick look at what we've done. There you go. All right, now what we need to do is count our double crochets. You should actually have 30 double crochets across for this pattern to work. And how you count them is actually you're counting these little V's that you see right here. They look like V's right there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, yes, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and these chains right here are 30. Grab your stitch marker, yours truly forgot. Right here is the first double crochet that you made right there. Yeah. What you want is the stitch right next to it. Pop your stitch marker in that stitch right next to that double crochet. And I apologise for forgetting that one. I usually do forget the first one. I don't know why. It's one of those things. But anyway. All right. From now on, at the beginning on every row, you will chain 2. And at the end of every row, you will do a half double crochet. Those are the only times you're going to be using half doubles. All right. So you can either chain 2 now and then turn, or turn and chain 2. But I'd rather chain 2 now. So that's yarn over your hook, 1 and 2. Hold it there. We're going to place another stitch marker. I think in the promo I just mentioned 1 stitch marker, but you actually need 2. So my apologies there. All right, so now where we are, yes, now you've got to turn your work. You can either turn it that way or turn it the other way. It doesn't matter. Just remain consistent throughout your work. So we're turning our work. Yes, just pop your stitch marker at the back somewhere. Yarn over your hook. We're going to start our first front post double crochet. What is a post, I hear you ask? Well, up the top we know these as being stitches. These little V's that you counted before were stitches. These long things here, they're called posts. And you are going around that post when you're doing the front one and around that post when you're doing the back one. We're doing a front post double crochet first. So yarn over your hook, and a front post is going in through the front, around your post and coming out through the back. Yeah, grabbing your loop and pulling it through your work. Little bit fiddly the first few stitches until you get the hang of it. Yarn over your hook, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that is your first front post. So now we're going to do another 3 front posts, okay? We've got our yarn over our hook, pop it in through the front, around your post, pull a loop through, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Let's do it again. The next one, in, out, pull a loop through, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. And that's 3 so far. We've got 1 more. In through the front, around that post, pull a loop through, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. And what you have is that. And that's your 4 front posts. Now we're going to do the 4 back posts. A little bit awkward this stitch. A lot of people struggle with it. I prefer the front post, as a lot of people do. Yarn over your hook. Now when we did our fronts, we went that way. Now when we do our backs, we're going to go behind the work, into the front, back to behind the work. And if it helps, just bring your work forward with your hand, with your thumb, and then pull a loop through like so. And you've got your 3 loops. Yarn over, 2, yarn over, 2. A little bit awkward, looks like it's pulling, that's normal, okay? Yarn over your hook, you're going to do 3 more, okay? You're popping your hook through the back of your work and around that very next post. You can pull your work forward if it helps. I find it helps to pull it forward. If you don't want to, you can leave it like that and work the other way, it doesn't matter. But I find it helps to pull the loop through like so, and then you can lift up your work and do your normal double crochet. All right, and now we have 2 more. Yarn over, into the back post, like so. Bring your work down a little bit so you can see what you're doing. Pulling your loop through, yarn over, 2 and 2. Yarn over. Oh, I'm trying to do it my way. Sorry, usually I just go like that. If you want to see my way, I can show you my way quickly. How many have we done? We've done 3. We're going to do 1 more. I just go like that. Turn it right at the back and do it that way. And then I bring it forward up. Look, it's entirely up to you how you want to work. Find what you're most comfortable with. This is what you should have. It should look like it's wrong, when really it's not. You've got your 4 across this way, and you've got your 4 across, 1, 2, 3, 4 across there. Now we're going to go back to the front post. That means raising your work forward again, and your next post is there. Okay, yarn over your hook, and we're going to the front post. Now remember, the front post is you're going through the front, around that post, and into the front again, pulling your loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, 2 and 2. Do 3 more of those. See, this one here is so much easier. You can see what you're doing with this. 2 and 3. Now we're going to do back posts again. A little bit awkward. Through the back, around the post, bring it forward so you can see, and pull your loops through. You don't have to bring it forward. If you find another way of doing this, by all means. There's your second one we're doing now. And there is your third one. and then you've got your fourth one right there. And let me just fix up this little knot. See this? Happens always. All right, so have a look at what you've got there. Yes, you've got that raised edge in the front, that's pulling back, that's the front, that's pulling back. Front post, back post, front post, back post. All right, so now that's what we're going to do all the way across our row. All right, the next 4 will be front posts, and I'm just going to go casually and hope that you're keeping up. If not, you can actually pause the video and meet us back at the end. That's the second one. This is front posts we're doing now, and that's your fourth one. And we are doing back posts. Be careful with the back ones, a little tricky. 1, 2, and 3. One more. 4. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the last 4 front post double crochet. So you really should have 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and your 5th one is your chains. Yeah. All right. So let's do. If you've got more or less, you need to check if you've made any errors in the count. All right. Yarn over our hook. Around for the front post. 1 and 2. Bit fiddly this part because it's right at the end. And 3. All right, so right here you've got that look. A little bit awkward. Hold on to those chains if it helps you. Around your post, finish your last front post. Okay, and in that chain right there where we've got our stitch marker, you need to pop a half double crochet, and that's yarn over your hook, pop it through the 2 loops on the stitch marker. Oh, might have to take mine undone, mine's really tight. Okay, well I'm going to take mine undone because mine's very tight. Hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine. If it is, remember for the next row not to make it so tight. Okay, so I'm going to pop my hook. All right, and do a normal half double crochet. It was pulling the loop through like so. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That is your half double crochet. All right, easy? Yes, so far? Well, no, it's a little tricky. All right, so what are we going to do now here? We're going to chain our 2, and that is 1, 2. I'm not going to make that stitch too tight this time. I don't want to be caught out. We're going to pop our stitch marker in the stitch like so, and then we're going to turn our work. And how do we turn our work? The same way you did before. Now for me, I'm always turning my work like I'm turning a page in a book, but again, everyone works differently, so you turn it the way you like, but remain consistent throughout your work. All right, now along this side you are going to do the exact same thing you did here with your 4 front posts and back posts, but now you're going to work in the opposite of it. So that was the front post from the previous round. You're going to do the back post in those front posts. Okay, so yarn over your hook, you're going to go right into that very back post of your first one, which is right there. There's your chain stitch or your half double, and that one right there is your back post. Well, actually it's a front post on the other round, but we are doing back posts in your front posts. Right, yarn over your hook, going around. This is the back way, remember, your post. Just bringing it forward a little bit and doing your back post stitch. 1. You're going to continue 3 more times, yes? So around that post, 2. And there's your post, a little bit awkward, around that post there, 3. And you've got 1 more, yes, around that post there, 4. All right, you're going to see these lines, that's normal. Now you're going to do front posts, and you'll find the front posts so much easier. And the spaces you're going through, those little tiny little gaps up the top, not down there, being careful not to go into that, okay? Yarn over your hook, going around. Remember, we're going to do front post, so you're going through the front, remember, around that post, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 and 2. All right, that's your first front post, and around you go for the next one. See, this one's a lot easier. And a third one. Whoops, being careful not to pop it in a stitch like I almost did there. Don't do that, yeah. And a fourth one around your post, like so. And you'll start to see the tiny little pattern starting to work there. All right, so continue along the row doing your 4 back posts. There's your posts on the first one. You're going through the back way, right around it. Just bring it forward a little bit and start your stitch. And off you go. That's 1. Try to be careful not to lose any or miss any stitches. 2. And that's the third one. Getting around the post and not in the stitch, be careful. And there's your 4th. It's a little fiddly, this back post. But it's not difficult, it's just fiddling, all right? Yarn over, going through your front now. We're doing our front ones. There's our first 4, 1. Around the front, right around it, 2. And 3. And 4. There you go. And now we've got our back ones. Off you go and do 4 there. 1. A little bit awkward. 2. 3. And 4. It does get easier as you go along, guys, trust me. And now 4 front posts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, and here is our final 4 posts. All right, these are the back posts because they were the front posts from our first round, weren't they? So now we're working on the back posts. So there we go, finish them off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now if you've got smaller stitch markers, it works better in this pattern, by the way. I'll tell you why in a minute. Do your final back post. A little bit tricky, that last stitch. And there you go. All right. Now the smaller stitch markers work better because when you're doing your final back post, I find that occasionally I pull the stitch marker through. So in this kind of pattern, because you're working so close to the stitch marker, you're better off using smaller ones. That's just a small tip, nothing fancy. All right, so now this is the end of the row. There's that stitch that was tight for me before. It looks like it's still tight for me. You need to put a half double crochet in that stitch. So yarn over your hook. It probably is still tight. You know why it's tight? Because you're turning your work around. It's kind of twisting that stitch a little bit. Oh, that worked. It's not too bad. Pull your loop through like normal. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, take out your stitch marker, and there you go. Now this is, so you know what you've done here. You have done 2 rows of your post stitches. You need to do another 2 more rows, okay? Now both rows are opposites of each other. I hope that helps. But we're going to do one together and I'll explain the next one to you in a minute. So you're chaining 1 and 2, popping that stitch marker in. Don't make that stitch too tight, like I just think I did. Oh dear. All right, so you're here, yeah? You're turning your work like you would normal every other row. We are working on our front posts. There's your back post from the previous row. So we are now working on the front posts, all right? So around your front like normal and off you go. 1 and 2. See, it's a lot easier now, isn't it? 3, but the back post will still be, you know, tight. 4, sorry, I hate to burst your bubble, guys, but yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, so we are now ready for our 4 back posts, and you are going to move your work forward a little bit, and you can find your post right there, like so. 1. Let's get you a nice close-up. See, that's what you're working in. Yeah, if you're not sure, just give everything a stretch. You'll find it when you give it a stretch. You're going through the back and around the back. And off you go. 3. Or was that 2? Sorry. 2. This is 3. Told you I can't count. And 4. All right. Now, before we go on, I just want to show you something real quickly. That's your pattern. All right. See how it's starting to look? You're starting to see the pattern, yes? You're going to continue your front and your back all the way across. Now, before we go, just a quick heads up. If you are joining us new and you have not crocheted before, and this is your first time and you're struggling with this stitch, by all means, you don't need to do this swatch for the blanket. You are welcome to replace it with something else, like some of our previous swatches that we have done throughout the Swatch Blanket. So we've done some basic doubles, singles, half doubles, or something else. So you don't really have to do these intricate stitches. They're just here to further your stitch practice, if you will, in crochet. I'm hoping this helps. I'm just trying to make it easier for some of our newbies who struggle with a lot of this intricate work. You are welcome to replace it with one of the other swatches. All right, we are going to continue 4 fronts and off you go. Let's do this front section nice and quick. All right, and you just did your first 4 fronts without me. Do the next 4 backs without me and off you go nice and fast. And you just did your first backs. And off you go. I'm going to pop the rest on fast for you. And you're doing your fronts, and then you're doing your backs, and then a fronts, and I will meet you at the end. Off you go. Alrighty, I'm on my 3rd last front post, and I'm on my last front post right there. And I've brought the screen out. Let's bring it back in. There you go. All right, so what you should have is, I can see how tight that was. Went to pull it and it popped open. I'm going to take mine out because mine's really tight. Hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine. You're going to do a half double crochet in that lovely tight stitch. I'm just going to, oh, it's not too bad. There you go. Half double, and there you go. All right, what you should have is that. Now, if yours didn't add up, just check that you haven't messed up your count. Now, before we continue, okay, just so you know, with the measurements of this piece, you're probably thinking, wow, this is really big across here. And it usually does start off very big. Look at that, 21.5. Let me get a close up for you. I'm on 21.5 or 8.5 inches. That's huge. But this piece, as you go along, will shrink a little bit. So if yours is 20 now, it's going to go right into 18. Let me show you quickly where it'll be. If yours is here now, right now, oops, let's just cover that up. Get this out the way so you can see. If yours is here now, like it's just there, that's going to shrink a little bit more, okay? If yours is way over to 22, don't stress, that'll shrink right down to 8 and a bit, okay? So don't stress too much about measurements. Again, if it's a little tiny bit over after we finish the next few sets, that's okay, we can deal with that. If it's over now, that's okay, because that will shrink. If it's under now, be careful, because it will shrink more. All right, just a quick heads up there, just wanted to let you know, because I actually did this piece 4 times. Truly, the very first one was here, and I thought, okay, that would be okay, and it wasn't. Look how much mine shrunk, okay? When mine was 20, it shrunk down to that by the time I was finished. and it's all about tension, but with this stitch, because it's on top of each other, it's going to pull in a bit, all right? So that's normal. Guess what? You've done your 3rd row, you need to do a 4th row. Now your 4th row is going to be like the one before this, where you chain your 2, 1 and 2. Oh, that's nice and loose. Well, that's not going to get me into any trouble later, is it? Turn your work like normal and off you go. Again, you should use smaller stitch markers. Sorry guys. Yarn over your hook, and what are we doing now? That last row we did was 4 front posts at the back, at the other side. Now we're going to do 4 back posts. All right, remember we are going around that post right there, popping it through the back and around, and just do your double crochet. And keep going all the way through your back posts. 2, 3, and 4. All right, this is our final row for this part of the basket weave. The next row needs to change. So what I want you to do for now is to go ahead, do your 4 front posts, 4 backs, 4 fronts, 4 backs, 4 fronts, and 4 backs. Meet me back here in a moment and we'll talk about the change of the basket weave. Off you go and do that row, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Yay, very exciting. Alright, now I have 1 more back post to go. So I'm going to do that one now. Like so. And there you go. Alright. And now we're going to put our half double in that stitch there, which I still think is very tight. I keep saying it's not, but it actually is. You know what, I'm going to take my stitch marker out. Hopefully yours isn't as tight. Oh dear, what to do with me, what to do with me. Yarn over, pop it through your first loop and then that back loop. And then you've done your half double, like so. Okay, now you're chaining 1 and 2. Whoops, pop your stitch marker in. This is where your design will change. Now this is where you're going to find not only the basket weave stitch, but also you're going to find that it will give that astringent look. This is where it's going to start to tighten up everything, yeah? All right, so now that we've done our 4 rows front, 4 rows back, when we flip it the next time, ordinarily we would have started with our front posts, all right? But to make the basket weave look, we're going to start on back posts and then do our front posts and then do our back posts. It can be a little tricky when we first do it. I find it easy actually. I find it easier to go the opposite direction. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. I find it easier. A lot of people don't, but I do. But yarn over the hook. Okay, these are your front posts. We're going to start back posts in them. So instead of going through your front like normal, we're going to go around the back and do a normal back post. Even though it's a front post, we're going to do a back post on it. 1, go to your next one, 2, I do find them easier this way. Go to your next one, 3, and of course your final one, 4. And what that's done now is it's put the ridges that you see here, it's put them there. Now in your back posts here, you are going to pop front posts. All right, so yarn over your hook, going around that post as if you're doing a front post, which you are, but you're doing it on the back post. 1, and the next one. See, I find this way a lot easier. Isn't it funny? I find starting the rows easier. 3 and 4. Seeing the picture? See how it's changing? Now we're going into, these are the front posts. Normally we would do front, we're going to do back. All right, super duper easy. All right, there's your backs in your fronts. Now you're going to be putting your fronts in your backs, and off you go. Okay, third and fourth. And now we're putting backs in our fronts. Off you go and do your back posts. Oops, don't lose a stitch. Oh, let's try take 3. Hello, wake up Mary, what's going on? Just being careful when that happens. I find that this stitch here, like that one there, can come a little bit loose. So just be careful, make sure you take it undone and tighten it up. Some of mine stayed loose, I just left them there. But if you leave them there, you could end up with some really gappy spaces in there. You don't want that. All right, so from here, these are back posts. Normally we would go into our back post. For this row only, we're going into the front post of it. We're going to call this the change row, and that just changes your pattern. Okay, I'm only naming it so that you know what I mean later when we talk about the change row, and it only happens after every 5th row. So I'm sorry, after every 4th row, it's on the 5th row. Okay, so there's your front post. Normally we would be putting front, we are going to be putting back posts in it, aren't we? Just for this row. Now this one can be a little tricky, the end. I find this one very tricky, just the end, and then it goes back to normal again. Oh. Now consider this the first row of your next set of 8 rows. I'm hoping this is making sense. It probably won't until we do the next 3 rows, okay? And that's my last 4 stitches. Now we're going to pop our half double in that stitch. Oh, not so tight, that's a good one. Oh, that's good. All right, take out your stitch marker, chaining your 1 and 2, popping that stitch marker back in, like so. And that is what you have. Now, it does look a little bit wrong, but it's actually not. When we start the next row, you'll start to see the look. So turn your work, starting your next row. Now, your next row, you are working the next 3 rows of pattern, okay? So where you see your front posts, you are doing a front post. 1, front post 2, front post 3, and front post 4. And then we're going to do our back posts here, okay? So we're going straight into back posts. So now you're just doing 4 of each. 4 fronts, 4 backs, 4 fronts, 4 backs, all the way across the row. Too simple, this row, yeah? Well, every row is simple, but on every 5th row, you are changing the design. You are going in the opposite direction, okay? Now we're into our 4 fronts. 2, 3, and 4, and 4 backs. All right, you know the rest all the way across. I'm not going to pause the video. I'm just going to let you go right ahead, and I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row here, doing my last front 4 posts, my last 4 front posts, hello, my last 4 front posts, and that's the 4th one right there. Okay, and there is your last stitch. We're going to do a half double. Always in the last stitch we do a half double, and that's not so tight for me, which is good. Pull a loop through, chain 1 and 2, grab your stitch marker out of there and replace it in your last stitch we just made. There we go. Okay, let me show you what you've got there. All right, can you see already how it's starting to basket weave? If that makes sense. It's starting to look like it's weaved in and out. And now we're going across. We've done 2 rows, okay? Now we're going to do our 3rd and 4th row. I'll start you off with that, and the first stitch is back posts. They were the last ones we did with the front posts. So now, too far away, sorry. You have to do back posts in them, okay? So whenever you look at your work, if it's not the 5th row, you just need to do exactly what you see. These are pulled back, so you need to do back posts. These are brought forward, so you need to do front post, all right? But on the 5th row, you do the opposite to that, all right? And I'll explain that to you in a moment, but just continue doing your back posts here. All right, now off you go doing your front post. All right, so there we go. I think you get the picture with this now. So what I want you to do is continue in this manner, get to the end of the row, half double crochet in that chain, chain 2, flip your work, do 4 front, 4 backs, 4 front, 4 back, 4 front, 4 back, and so on to get to the end of the row. When you get to the end of that 2nd row, I'll meet you back there in a moment and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, all right? So complete this row all the way across, chain 2, complete the 2nd row and meet me there in a moment. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of our row. Now let's get a nice close-up. I have one more front post to do. You should have landed on your front posts here. And there you go. And of course, what do we do at the end of the row? We put a half double in that usually tight stitch, which isn't so tight now. So off you go and pop your half double. That's actually called a half treble if you are using UK terminology. Chain 1 and 2. Oops, that's a really tight stitch there, but don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about that. It's me who has to worry about it in the next round. All right, so there you go. Now get this, guys. What you have done is your first basket weave look. How gorgeous is that? Look at that. You've got 4 rows of starting your front post and then 4 rows of starting with your back post. So our very next row, normally we would turn over and do back posts, right? No, not for the 5th row. On every 5th row, you are going to do the opposite to what you were supposed to do, all right? So this is where a piece of paper comes in handy, all right? Let's move all of this out the way so we can work on it. Now, let's put the word front here and let's put the word back. I'm only putting the letters, but that's, I'm too far away. That's pretty much all you need, yes? All right, so what you're going to do is pop a little line down there. That's a really terrible straight line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, these aren't front posts. They're 4 rows. Now, these are the rows, all right? So they're 4 rows, all right? You're going to start your next row with a front post, and you're going to start all of those rows with a front post. When you're done, you're going to start the next set of 4. So that's actually on your 5th stitch, if that helps. I'm sorry, try 5th row. You're going to start 4 back posts. Then you're going to go back to your front. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's on your 5th stitch again. Let's try 5th row again. Can't get this right, can I? So every 5th row, you're changing your pattern to the opposite. You're not doing the same pattern. You are moving over from that section to that section. You're going back way, this way, that way, on every 5th row. So now where we are is on our front posts. Yes? So now what we're going to do is do this row and another 3 more. Let's just say we finished off this row. We would mark that off and then we would turn over and do another row, right? And another row and another row, right? That tells me that you've done your 4 rows of the front part of your design, all right? Then do 4 rows of the back. They won't all land on the same back post. It'll be back post, front post, back post, front. In fact, you could do that here. You could do exactly that. That's a really good idea. So this is front, this is back, this is front and back. So really your next row should be a front, but you're not starting with a front. You're starting with the back. And then you're going front, and then you're going back, and then you're going front. So really this next section should start with, because it's the last one was a front, should start with a back. But you're not going to start with a back. You're going to start with a front yet again. And then back, and then front, and then back. And then when you get to that final row right there, finish it off and meet me back here. And you're saying, what? You're not going to show us anymore? No, I think you know what you're doing. All right? That's exactly what you need to do. You need to repeat this and this in the set over and over again, but only for 2 more sets, plus the 3rd set is that one right there. All right? Hope that makes sense. Don't stress too much. Just have a quick look at this. All you need to do is this. Do a front row, back, front, back. Then do a back, front, back, front. Then do a front, back, front, back. Do that for the 3 sets, and I'll meet you back here once you have completed your 3 sets of 4 rows. All right, so that's all you need to remember. We are starting with a front row right there. The next row will be your back row, and then so on. All right, and then go to here and do that there, and then go here and do that when you get to your very last row. Right at the very last few stitches here, last stitch, whatever you want to do, just wait there and I shall meet you there once you're done. Good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys, here I am at the end of the row. All right, now I've done the first 4 front posts, and now I'm going to do the last 4 back posts, like so. It didn't take too long, did it, guys? I didn't think so anyway. And it wasn't as difficult as a lot of people make it out to be. Now don't forget you've got that last one there. I almost forgot that a few times, as you do. All right, and there is the stitch marker. What do? You put your half double in that stitch marker stitch right there, as we've been doing all along. Alrighty, like so, and like so. Pull up a loop, hold it there, don't cut it, okay? And the reason is because we are going to be doing some measurements. Just give your work a gentle tug. Oh, drum roll, please. The measurements, it's always the hardest time, isn't it? Okay, wrong way. Like that. Oh, let's give you a nice close-up. I'm all over the place. Like, whoa, like that. All right, so from there to there, like that, right to the end, right to the end, it's roughly almost 20 centimeters and almost 8 inches, right? But if you raise that up to your very next level, it goes all the way almost up to 20 centimeters and 8 inches because of the way the work curves a little bit. Don't stress, yeah? Don't stress too much. Just give your work a gentle tug like that. Because by doing that, once you turn it this way, I'm telling you, just a very gentle tug, it starts to put it all into place. Oh, it's too far away again. In, out, in, out. All right, and you can almost get to 20 centimeters or 8 inches. And again, if it's off by 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, or even if it's off by, where are we? That's the 8 we want to get to and the 20. If it's around here, don't stress. Once we wash and block this, that's going to stretch up to there, and it might even stretch a little bit over too. So don't stress if you're shorter. If you're a little bit over, when you wash, don't stretch it. Don't pull it out like that and stretch it to pin it down like we're going to with some of our swatches to make the 20 centimeters here. Just leave it gently. Popping your, let's pretend this is a pin. I even stretched that just as we did that. You just pop your pin in it like that all the way along when we're ready to wash and block and leave it there, okay? But if yours is a tiny bit smaller, just give it a gentle stretch up to the measurement that we're going to do, okay? So I'm hoping that makes sense. Anyway, that's where we are at the moment. Give your thread a cut. Pull that loop through like so, grabbing your darning, sewing, weaving needle, whatever you want to call it, thread it. All right, so we're going to start weaving that any way you want to. Maybe the best bit is to pop it down the side edge Even if it looks like it's coming loose a little bit, don't stress, we're going to crochet over it anyways. So here we are with our tail end. All right, we are going to be popping our thread in any stitch you see. So pop it through the stitch, don't pull it so tight, and there you go. Now you're going to find some other stitches that you want to pop it through, and I would just go down into side stitches like that. Okay, no right or wrong way of doing this. These particular threads sometimes come undone, so I usually put them down the sides and then we crochet over those stitches later anyway, so I'm not really worried. And once we crochet over it, that won't come undone. All right, now going back the opposite direction, and not in the same stitches that you just went in, because that'll come undone. So just choose another stitch. I usually just go in a stitch before it and then just do that. Before it or after it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. My failed direction along with maths. I'm doing well, aren't I? Okay, and just back again the other way. There's no right or wrong way. I'm only doing it along the sides so that we can crochet over that once it's washed and blocked. And because we haven't crocheted over this, it may come undone after the washing and blocking a little bit on the edge. Ordinarily you would have gone in and out of the stitches, and you could still do that. If you didn't do that, I'm sorry. I'm doing it this way because I know we are going to be crocheting over these sides, so that's why I'm doing it this way. All right, that's all I want to show you today, guys, because we can work on that tail off air when you get a chance. Now that tail, once again, if you didn't want to go along the sides, you can go in and out of these loops here. Make sure you do them nice and tight and go back the other way. Don't pull the work too tight or your work will end up like that. You don't want that. All right, but go ahead and weave in that last end. And let me show you something real quickly, and you'll know the difference when I show you this. We had a look at this before, and we're going to have a look at it again. See the look. I'm really sad about this look here. And it's such a shame because I was looking forward to using these colours together. We can actually hang on to these colours for one of our future projects. But in the meantime, see the difference and how gorgeous it looks as a solid colour. Now, I love this stitch. Look carefully, look carefully at your stitch and just think, would this make a gorgeous thick jumper or a gorgeous thick cardigan? I think it would make a gorgeous cardigan, but anyway, thank you so much for joining us today for swatch number 16. If you would like to be a part of the Swatch Blanket of 2021 and help choose colour combinations for our swatches, join us for our lives on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. or Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, that is. And this is where we get to choose, or guys, you get to choose the colour combinations for our swatches. Now, sadly, this didn't work. But our subscribers were the ones who helped choose the colours for this swatch. Now, I did change it. So what I'm going to do is leave that one, and that one. Oh, sorry, I had to stretch over to get that one. The three colours that we were going to use for this swatch, we're going to use that for swatch number 17. What is swatch number 17, I hear you ask? Guess what? You have to join me on this Saturday's live to find out. What? Am I so naughty? Well, I'm always naughty, but let's just pop myself in the naughty corner. If you're not sure what that is, you will know about that if you join us on our lives. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys already do for me. And also, don't forget to weave in this last end, and I shall see you in future tutorials here on our channel. We are doing other things other than the Swatch Blanket. You don't want to miss out on that. And I try to upload at least 2 to 3 videos a week, or 2 to 3 tutorials a week. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and all I want to say right now is ciao for now.